Good morning, Unity. My name is Jonathan. I'm Reverend Wendy's son. Reverend Wendy will be on in just a moment with her third lesson from her book, Ask Yourself This, Questions to Grow Personally. So sit back, relax, and get ready. The Unity Center live streams all of its Sunday lessons every Sunday during quarantine at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you are watching a recording of this on our Facebook page or on the Unity Center YouTube site, please consider leaving a comment answering what your favorite question was from today's lesson. If you feel compelled and think someone else could benefit from this lesson, please consider sharing it with your friends on your Facebook page. This really helps the Unity Center's content get out to more people who may need it during this difficult time. And if you are watching on YouTube, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the Unity Center YouTube channel so that you will never miss any lessons that are posted. The Unity Center posts several times a week. Take care.
Good morning, I'm Wendy Craig-Purcell, and we are the Unity Center, broadcasting from my home in Poway during this time of sheltering in place. To my beloved Unity Center community, good morning. I miss you, and I look forward to the time pretty soon, I hope, when we'll be able to be back together again. If you are tuning in for the very first time this morning and you do live in the San Diego area, I want to personally invite you to come and visit us some Sunday. We have incredible music, an incredible community, an incredible facility, and just a really, really great way to come together spiritually. So I hope you'll consider that if you don't already have a spiritual community that you're part of. So we're going to start the way we always do, and that is with the striking and the playing of our antique Tibetan singing bowl. And I encourage you to use the sound to help you just come into this experience that we are co-creating together this morning, a time of connecting virtually and a time of connecting spiritually. As the sound becomes more quiet, let yourself become more focused and centered. I invite you to join me in a time of centering prayer. Go ahead and close your eyes. Turning our attention within, we pause for a moment to give thanks for the opportunity to be together even in this way. Acknowledging the divine presence within ourselves, within our loved ones, and truly within all humanity. As we join together this morning, we do so with minds that are open and receptive and hearts that are welcoming. Let this be a time that we hear something or remember something or learn something that can be helpful to us in our growth, in our unfolding, in our personal and spiritual journey. Knowing the power of the spoken word, knowing the power of setting an intention, we do this now consciously, that this will be so for ourselves and for each person tuning in. And knowing as well the power of gratitude, we give thanks in advance that this is so. We give thanks in advance that this is so. And so it is. Amen and amen. As we further set the tone for today's time together, I want to introduce you to yet another beautiful New Thought singer and songwriter. Her name is Peggy Lebo. She's recorded a number of CDs. I encourage you to check her website out. And this is from her CD, Path of Light, and the name of this piece is Path of Light. That was Peggy Lebo. I wish you could see what it really looks like from my end doing this service for you. So my husband John is sitting in the chair behind the camera. Hi, sweetheart, you've been doing a great job. I know technology is not your favorite thing. Our lesson today about growing, I think you can relate to. Our son Jonathan, who welcomed you before we started, was holding up an enormous beach towel behind John to cut out the glare so you could see beautiful Peggy Lebo in a much clearer way. We hope it worked. So anyway, I can't tell you how relieved and happy I will be when I can do this in the sanctuary, even if it means that we don't have our full community with us yet. Maybe we'll be allowed to just have the band on the stage. It will feel so easy. Perspective, right? Anyway, in support of my message this morning on Ask Yourself This to Grow Personally, I have a few readings that I want to share with you. The first is from Shakespeare. We know what we are, but not what we may be. From George Eliot, it is never too late to be who you might have been. From Alan Cohen, personal growth is not a matter of learning new information, but of unlearning old limits. Isn't that great? Not a matter of learning new information, but rather of unlearning old limits. From Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido, life is growth. If we stop growing technically and spiritually, we are as good as dead. From beloved teacher and author Jean Houston, I firmly believe that all human beings have access to extraordinary energies and powers. Judging from accounts of mystical experience, heightened creativity, or exceptional performance by athletes and artists, we harbor a greater life than we know. From Edmund Hillary, first to Everest Summit in 1953, it is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. And from Ginny Rometty, growth and comfort do not coexist. Can I have an amen to that? Absolutely true. Growth and comfort simply do not coexist. We're going to move into a time of meditation together now, and we'll be listening or having in the background some meditation music that our longtime pianist, keyboardist, J.R. Betts recorded for us, and hopefully I'll get the volume right, so it'll be a nice experience. But I invite you to go ahead and get super comfortable. I imagine you're already pretty comfortable, but get super comfortable wherever you are. And go ahead and close your eyes as we get ready to go into this time of meditation together. One of my favorite ways to begin my meditation is with the technique I learned from Vietnamese teacher, Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. And it is the use of 3 conscious breaths. Breathing in mindfully, and then exhaling, and with the first exhalation to practice the idea of letting go, and repeating breathing in deeply, and with the next exhalation to practice being fully present, and with the third, again, breathing in deeply and mindfully, and then in letting that breath go, practicing the feeling of opening up. So if you haven't already closed your eyes, please do so now. And allow your attention to focus on the breath, breathing in deeply. And as you exhale, practicing the feeling of letting go, of releasing. Breathing in deeply again. And as you exhale, practicing the feeling of being right where you are. And again, breathing in deeply. And as you exhale, practicing the feeling of opening up. I invite you to continue in that cycle now for the next few minutes, aware of each mindful breath, releasing, letting go, being present, and opening up. Mindful of the breath. Whatever may be troubling you or have been troubling you, doing your best to release and let go. Breathing in deeply and mindfully. Exhaling and feeling yourself even more present, right where you are, in this very moment. Mindful of the breath, breathing in deeply, exhaling, and opening up. Continuing to be aware of the breath, a steady yet focused attention. Allow your attention to move to the area of the heart, the center of your chest. Imagining each mindful breath moving in and through the area of your heart. Each mindful breath moving in and through the area of your heart. Mindful of the breath, mindful of the heart, fully present. As you continue to be aware of the breath with attention, focused in the area of the heart, allow yourself to hold a positive and healing emotion, perhaps joy, or peace, compassion, gratitude. And for these next few moments, still mindful of the breath, with attention focused in the area of the heart, imagine that each breath in is a deep breathing in of that healing emotion, and that each breath out is a blessing, a sharing of that healing emotion. Each breath in, a breathing in of that feeling. Each breath out, a sharing, a blessing of that feeling. I invite you now to practice for these next few moments, aware of the breath, the heart, and that feeling. Continuing to be aware of the breath, begin now to feel your attention rising to the surface, preparing to release this time of prayer and meditation, pausing before we do to experience a feeling of gratitude, grateful for whatever peace or comfort, relaxation or insight you may have had in this time. And taking a deep breath in, and letting that breath go, saying, "Thank you, Spirit." Amen and amen. And so I'm thinking we have a bit of a technical difficulty. No, do we still? We still have Peggy's voice or Peggy's picture there. Take a moment to kind of stretch out of this meditation, if you will. And if you are fortunate enough to be sharing this time with somebody else, turn to them and look them deeply in the eye and greet them with the salutation that we love to use at the Unity Center, the salutation being Namaste. Namaste, John. Namaste, Jonathan. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you. And so in setting up this lesson, this talk today, I wanted to share one more piece of music from Peggy Lebo, and this song is called So Much More.
Tasted the sweetness and sadness of love, full of its pain and its glory. You wandered alone in search of a home, fast asleep in your story. But you are so much more than the stories around. Hostages here in the desert. We are runaways far from the sea, dreaming of water and days on the shore when we knew how it felt to be free. We are so much more than the stories that run through our days and our dreams. We are so much more than our stories, no matter how true they may seem. We're much more, so much more. We are 1,000 colors. We are 1,000 dreams. There are 1,000 ways to find our way back to what we're meant to be. We are so much more than the stories that run through our days and our dreams. We are so much more than our stories, no matter how true they may seem. We're much more, so much more, so much more, so much more.
It's like a prayer and song, isn't it? And what an important reminder, so much more. We really are so much more than our stories. Peggy, as I was listening to your beautiful lyrics in both of these songs, I was thinking about how much more I bet is going to come through you as a result of this sheltering in place. how much more of your heart and your spirit and your soul and your understanding of spiritual principle and practice. I think that's going to be true of all of our wonderful New Thought recording artists, that this time of isolation is also a time, I think, of incubation for many of them in terms of getting in greater touch with their creativity. And I look forward to being blessed by the result of that. So today, chapter 3 in my book, Ask Yourself This, Questions to Grow Personally. And so if you've been with us, you know that the overarching theme of my book is the importance, acknowledging and owning the importance of asking good questions, that the quality and timing of our questions absolutely determine the quality of the kinds of answers we get. I was remembering a quote from Einstein: "If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions," because the quality of the solution is in direct proportion to the ability to identify the problem. And I think that is so very similar to the idea of having some really good questions that we bring to mind at key times and points in our lives, so that we can access the greatest wisdom within ourselves and really get in touch with high quality answers. And so I do want to share with you 6 of the questions that I have in this chapter, not all of them, but 6 of them that I have in the chapter, that will, I believe, help us grow. And what I know to be true is that you were not always the you that you are today. You were not always the you that you are today. You grew into the you are today, as did I. I grew into this Wendy over time. Each of us, it grows and is shaped by the thoughts that we think, by the experiences that we have, by how we interpret the experiences that we have, and by the choices that we make. I was thinking about how this could really be, for many of us, this time out could really be like a growth spurt for us, a time to incubate greater creativity and greater innovation. I'm personally inspired by the creativity and the innovation that I see in so many sectors of our society today. And this innovation and creativity is in direct response to the situations that we find ourselves in, and that we've not been here before. And so there isn't an easy roadmap to how to navigate this, but there's such tremendous wisdom within us and such resilience and creativity within us that we can tap. And asking good questions helps us to do that. So here's the first of 6 questions I want to offer up to you this morning, questions to help you grow. Okay, breathe into this one. Who or what am I blaming? Who or what am I blaming? There are times in our lives that we are not taking accountability, and we are looking at who or what we can blame for where we are, for what we don't like. The blame game is a really old one. It's as old or older than Adam and Eve. Remember the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? The Garden of Eden was a beautiful place, and we're told that God, and these are allegorical stories, but we're told God put the tree of the knowledge of good and evil right in the middle of the garden and said to Adam and Eve, "You can enjoy everything and anything in this garden but that." Now, every parent knows that the quickest way to have a kid do what you don't want them to do is say you can do everything but that. That's what the kid's going to do, right? And so this allegorical story is pointing to that phenomenon in us. And of course, we know that the serpent tempted Eve to eat of the apple on the tree. Well, it actually wasn't an apple if you study it. The Bible doesn't say anything about it being an apple. We think it was, we interpret it that way, but it wasn't. So anyway, the serpent tempts Eve, and then Eve eats of the apple, and then we're told God finds out, and their eyes are open, and they're in trouble, and What does Adam do? Adam blames Eve. Eve made me do it. Eve blames the serpent. The serpent made me do it. The beginning, allegorically, of the blame game. But what happens? What happens to us when we play this game, when we live at this level of consciousness, or behavior rather, what happens to us is we give our power away. We give our power away. If I say, you are the reason that I am this way, you are the reason that my life is the way it is now, I give my power away to do anything about changing it. I give my power away. You know, in metaphysics, we talk about the different stages of consciousness. The stages of consciousness ranging from victimhood to full enlightenment. The stages of consciousness where at first we feel as if life is happening to us. We just can't, we're not responsible, we're just always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's the epitome of the blame game. And what a huge step in growth when we shift out of that place of the feeling of victimhood or the feeling of life is happening to me, and we wake up and we go, wait a minute, I do have power and I'm not going to give it away. Life is happening by me. I can work at the level of my thoughts. I can work at the level of my choices. I can look at where I need to grow and how I need to grow and how I need to change. I take responsibility. And eventually we continue to open up and evolve from to me, to by me, to through me, to as me, but that's a whole other lesson. So the first question, or an important question, is who or what am I blaming? The second one is who am I trying to please? Say that one with me. Who am I trying to please? Wow, some of us run this one a lot more than others. Some of us live so much of our lives at the influence of other people, at trying to please everyone and everything. Have you ever done that? Only to find that the more you try to please everyone and everything, the less successful that you are. I know I have to watch that in myself. There's an old fable of an elderly man traveling from village to village with a donkey and with a young boy. And the old man is leading the donkey and the boy is following behind. And they come to the first village, and the village people look at the old man like he's crazy. And they say to him, "You're a fool for not riding that donkey." So the old man decides, okay, I'll please them and I'll get up on the donkey. And so he continues on his journey to the next village. He's riding the donkey, the young boy is behind. And when they approach that village, the village people say, "How cruel are you? How unkind are you to make the young boy walk? He should be riding the donkey." So to please them, the old man gets off the donkey and puts the young boy on the donkey, and they continue on down the road. And to the next village, the townspeople say to the young boy on the donkey, "You are really being disrespectful to make that old man walk. You should both be riding that donkey." And so to please them all, the old man gets on the donkey, and the donkey carries them both to the next village. And when they get to the next village, the village people really care about animal rights. And the village people say, "You are the most unkind, unconscious people. What do you think you're doing to that poor donkey, carrying both of you?" And so the old man gets off the donkey, and the story goes that the next time anybody sees him, he is carrying the donkey on his back. That's what it feels like, doesn't it? We can go from one change to the next change, trying to please whomever, whatever, only to discover everybody's preference is different. Now, I'm not suggesting at all, I am not suggesting at all that we should be completely callous toward what makes other people happy. There are times that we really want to think about how might we put this other person first? How might we please this other person? It's not a black or white thing at all. But what is important is if we know that we tend to run this story of needing everyone's approval for everything, we will find that our growth is stunted. That sometimes we have to be strong and as an individual and maybe even stand alone to make our own choices. That is a significant piece of growing, and it's a part of living from a place of personal and spiritual power. Third question, what does this tell me about myself? When you find yourself in a situation that is difficult, to stop and ask yourself, what is this telling me about myself? What is this revealing to me about myself? I think that during this time of isolation and sheltering in place, in many ways, I've spoken about this before, in many ways it's as if a huge mirror is being held up in front of us, showing us where we are in our emotional intelligence, in our spiritual development. And in some ways, it's not just like a mirror reflecting back to us where we are and revealing to us places maybe where we need to grow. I think that any crisis situation exacerbates and makes bigger, magnifies whatever that is. And so if we are afraid, the fear seems to grow stronger in us. If we are deep in our faith, the faith seems to be amplified during this time. What does this tell me about myself? Here's a little story. There was a couple that went to church one Sunday, and they stopped to introduce themselves to a new couple in church, and they were exchanging pleasantries. And the couple was telling the new couple what a great neighborhood they live in. The people are wonderful and kind, and they just love the neighborhood they live in. And this new couple that they had met at church said, wow, you know, our neighborhood's not at all like that. We just moved in, and it's just not a neighborhood like that at all. And so each went their own way after church, and both couples wound up driving into their driveways at the same time. And the couple who was raving about the neighborhood looked aghast to see that the other couple were their next door neighbors. The other couple that had just finished saying what an awful neighborhood they lived in because of the way that the people in the neighborhood were. To stop and ask ourselves, what is this revealing about me? What is this situation helping me to see in myself? You know, personal growth is not always easy, but the other side of being willing to look at ourselves, the other side of being willing to kind of grow through our rough edges, is that we come out of that a better version of ourselves. And I deeply believe that at the very core of each and every one of us is the desire to be the best version of ourselves. When we criticize another, when we judge another, what I have found to be true is it reveals as much, if not more, about me than it ever does about the other. Here is the fourth question. What am I resisting? What am I resisting? I took up the martial art of Aikido not because of self-defense, not because I wanted to learn how to protect myself, but I had learned something about the martial art of Aikido that really spoke to me, that really resonated with me. And it was that it was a martial art that was grounded in spiritual practice and principle, that it was grounded in some of the very principles that I had been spending my professional and personal life attempting to practice to the best of my ability. Principles of non-resistance, principles of being fully present. And I was eager to explore what that might feel like in my body, what non-resistance would feel like, because I don't know how it is for you, but when things get difficult, sometimes, you know, I'll try to push through them, or I'll resist them. And what I'm beginning to find is that that's pretty exhausting. And what I know is that there is a different way, that there is power in learning how to be non-resistant. Let me read a little bit to you from the book about this idea of resistance and non-resistance and how it has application in the body, but also application mentally and emotionally. One is taught in Aikido to acknowledge, welcome, and blend with the motion of the attacker, then redirect the force of the attack rather than opposing it. This actually requires minimal physical energy on the part of the Aikidoist. Remember, I was saying just a moment ago, resistance and pushing is exhausting. This actually requires minimal physical energy on the part of the Aikidoist, since he leads the attacker's momentum using entering and blending movements to reach a resolution that is beneficial both to the Aikidoist and the attacker. Some key words in here. Using the attacker's momentum and leaning into it, using it and leaning in instead of pushing away. Pushing away is resistant. This blending with negative energy results in a seamless transition from an attack that was originally perceived as negative to a resolution which is not only positive, but causes both participants to grow. By contrast, resistance and pure physical force, which are aimed at conquest rather than resolution, can never produce results. Though few of the things we resist in our lives are aimed at harming us physically, the principles of Aikido also apply to the mental and emotional challenges we face. So, who or what are you resisting? Instead of blocking it, consider viewing it as a gift to be welcomed, met, and transmuted, rather than opposed. I know that that's a big one. To try to find a way to welcome it, to try to find a way to lean into it and to blend with it, to move with it. When we resist, what do we say in metaphysics? What I resist persists. What I resist persists. Water, think of water, its fluidity. It always will seek the path of least resistance, and yet its power is enormous. It can erode mountains, erode rock. So when you find yourself in that state, ask, who or what am I resisting? Fifth question, where is my attention? Where am I putting my attention? Another key, simple to say, not always simple to practice in metaphysics, is energy flows where attention goes. Energy flows where attention goes. What are you giving your attention to? Right now, in this pandemic, are you giving your attention to everything that is changing, to everything that is wrong or broken, or what you're missing? If that's where you're giving your attention, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind and in your life experience. And if you believe in the power of consciousness, you're going to attract even more of that into your life. Where is my attention? What am I focusing on? What are you focusing on right now? Can you choose to shift your attention? Actually, you can, and so can I. And in the shifting our attention and paying attention to what has our attention, that is the first step of making the choice to redirect it. Many, many, many years ago, when I would teach young children how to ice skate, one of the things I vividly remember with them is once I got them out on the ice and we got them on the straightaway and they could stop trembling and I could pry their hand away from the railing, they seemed to be doing kind of okay on the straightaway, and then their eyes would get really, really big when they would see that it was time to start turning because the straightaway was ending. And I'd say to them, stop looking down at the ice, stop looking down at your feet. Because what happens to most beginner ice skaters? They look down, right? And that's why, in part, they're likely to fall more than necessary. And I'd say to them, lift your vision up and look where we want to go. If we want to go to the left, take your vision and turn your head that way, look that way, focus your attention there. And with children, it's charming and beautiful and inspiring because I get the biggest grin on their face that, wow, I'm turning. Sure. Because they changed where they were looking. They stopped looking down. They stopped just looking straight ahead. They looked toward where they wanted to go. How about you? Are you looking toward where you want to go? What has your attention? And maybe this is a sub-question. Does it deserve it? Does it deserve your attention? I'll tell you a little story. Just the other morning, to give you an example of me still needing to practice these things and catch myself. So I was out walking in my neighborhood on May 1st, the day when we were told that part of the new orders where we needed to wear a mask. Now, I wear a mask when I'm in the grocery store, and I don't go very often. But in my neighborhood, I haven't been wearing a mask, and I keep my good physical distance from anybody that's walking by. And I'm on my walk, and I see a woman that I've not seen before, and she's got a mask on. Most in my neighborhood don't when they're walking. And I greeted her, good morning, and she looks at me, she says, "Where's your mask?" And it kind of startled me because it's pretty early in the morning, and she was pretty darn grumpy about it. And I said, "Well, it's at home." She says, "You need it right now." And I just took a lot, but I just said, "Thank you, namaste." And she went on, and I went on. And she got my attention for far longer than she deserved to have my attention. As I kept playing that over and over in my mind, I didn't deserve that outbreak, and I'm pretty sure that if you're keeping your distance, you're okay. And I don't know. The point being, though, is there probably would have been a time in my life that I wouldn't have even noticed how much of my attention I was giving to her rather than just enjoying the beautiful sunny morning and the birds and the flowers. What gets our attention gets us. And the last is, am I willing to let go of the size life I've known to have a larger one? Let me say that again. Am I willing to let go of the size life I've known to have a larger one? I think that's a big one and an inspiring one. I read a story a number of years ago about the city fathers of New York when they were laying out, contemplating the growth of the city. They laid the streets out and numbered them from the center outward. And when they began, there were only maybe 6 or 7 streets. And in their planning maps, they projected how large they thought the city might grow. And so they really thought about, in their wildest dreams, how large could the city grow. And they mapped it all the way out to 19th Street, and they called it Boundary Street, because they believed that would be as big as New York City would ever get. Can you imagine that? 19 or 20 streets. Can you imagine that? Of course you can't, because we're living in this time and we know the growth of that great city. But the story, the idea, is an important one for us as we explore our own growth, our own development, our own advancement. Where is your 19th Street? Where have you put a boundary on who or what you can possibly be? I hope you'll be willing to push that out further and further and further. The world needs, your family needs, and the world needs you and me and every one of us to play at the highest level we possibly can. Namaste. So I thank you for joining in this morning. I do have a few reminders and updates that I'd like to share with you as I wrap up our time together today. I do want to let you know that as soon as the shelter-in-place order allows it, Janet Hammer, our music director, and the band and I will move this into the sanctuary. We still won't be able to have you, our beloved congregation, with us, but I know the band is eager and I'm eager to be able to share with you live music and be together more in the way that we are used to. But we've tried really, really hard to be respectful and to model to the best of our ability the shelter-in-place orders that we've been given. So, but as soon, and maybe it could even be next week, I'm prayerful about that. As soon as we can have a few people gathered, meaning the band and myself, we will be streaming from the Unity Center. Update on some activities this week. The Sunday discussion group, led by Michael Bugera and Leah Torreggiano, will be held right after this service today. You will need to make sure that you've connected with Jenna Rowe and have registered so that you can get the Zoom link, but that will be happening right after service today. My Zoom gatherings will continue on Wednesdays, but I've altered the time a little bit. The morning time, it will still be at 10 o'clock, but the second Zoom gathering that I'll be offering will be at 3:30. So the times will be 10 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon. And the flavor and focus will be a little bit different. My flavor and focus, if you will, is going to be on inspiration and insight. And I'm seeing this as a continued time to connect, encourage, and uplift. So that's Wednesdays with me, either at 10 or 3:30. Love offering basis, join us. It's not about whether you can contribute or not. Just join us if it would be of support to you. Midday centering prayer with Kim Kennedy on Thursdays at noon, and evening meditation with David Stanley on Thursday at 7 p.m. Reminder, be sure to go to our YouTube page and subscribe. You'll get notifications anytime we upload new videos. There are a lot of videos out there. Jonathan told you about some of them a while ago. If you haven't seen it, and if it would be fitting for you now, I recently recorded a guided meditation on abundance, knowing that people are dealing with all sorts of concerns and real life issues around their finances. So if it would be of help to you, go check that out. I think it's about a 12 to 15 minute guided meditation on abundance, and it's up on the Unity Center's YouTube channel. Please do be sure to share the Sunday service videos on Facebook. We want to let as many people know as we can that we're here and live every Sunday. And please be sure to support our musicians' websites. Support them by purchasing their music. Maybe we can gather all of our New Thought ministers in San Diego together and figure out some way that we can really have a great big music concert or something when it's safe to do so. But in some way, we want to support our beautiful musicians that we love and that bless and inspire us. Please do continue to support your Unity Center community. We've done a great job in keeping our staff employed and doing all the things that we want to do to take good care of our people. Your support makes that happen. You can contribute via our app. If you don't have the app, it's a really good time to get it now. You can make a one-time gift or an ongoing gift through that app. And if you prefer, you can still write checks. And so join me in just imagining or holding in your hand whatever gift you would like to share with our community. And we'll bless our gift with this affirmation. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. I thank you for joining this morning. Please be with me now as we close with our prayer of protection. And if you're a regular part of the Unity Center community, imagine that it's not my voice leading our prayer, but it's one of our beloved children, okay? And so as we close our eyes, we feel the love and the support, the guidance and protection of Spirit. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, wherever we go, God is, and all is well. And together we say, Amen. Namaste. Be safe and well. God bless.